Hello, listeners. Welcome to the Baltimore Podcast. This is Banks here. We're kicking off NFL free agency. Ravens aren't really doing too much as per usual, but we got a few things to talk about in regards to that. We've got probably a little bit of O's chat, a little bit of Caps chat, and Terps are headed into the Big Ten Conference Tournament. As always, I'm joined by our good friend RDT here. He's dealing with, I think the Titans are making a little bit of a splash, aren't they?
A little bit. That DeMarco move a few years ago that would have got me. That would have moved the meter a little bit for me. But this year, I still don't see them making much noise or doing anything, winning more than 7 games or anything like that. So I don't know. Maybe in a few years, 2 years, this move will start to pay off.
Now, do you think that this would potentially um, affect what they do with that first overall pick? I mean, I know they weren't going to take a running back or anything, but does this just kind of mean they're going in a certain direction? Are they maybe going to look at a tackle or try to build an offense around Mariota and DeMarco and Beckham Green a little bit? Green Beckham,
I
Beckham Green.
Yeah, Dorial Green Beckham.
Green Beckham.
I thought that the minute I saw that they took or that they traded for DeMarco, I automatically thought that they were going to draft Tunsil, number 1 overall, the tackle from Ole Miss, and pair him with Chance Warmack. They just got that center from the Texans. I can't remember his name. And Taylor Lewan. So they're kind of building an offensive line, which they didn't really have much of last year. So I think it does affect what they were going to do with the draft. I also wouldn't be mad if they traded the pick and traded down, because the way I'm looking at it, the Titans are a ship with 5 or 6 holes in it, and they're sinking. And if you draft last year when they drafted Mariota, while it does set the team up for the future, they only patched 1 hole. I think if they could have traded it for a few more draft picks, you could have patched up at least some of the other holes and kind of stopped you from sinking. But that's my mindset. Like I said, I think they will go tackle. It would have been nice to, like I said, I don't care if they trade down and get some more picks. I don't think this team is close to competing, even in the garbage division that they're in. So
Smart man. You gotta compile the picks. It's all about the picks. More picks over better picks a
yep.
million times out of a million. Um, Tunzel would be a home run of a tackle, but I really think that you could drop down and get Stanley. I think there's a few other tackles there that are first round worthy that you could probably get first rounder next year and only fall back a few spots. There's just no. I don't know if there's really a home run first overall pick this year. There are some really good top 10 picks, but I don't know if there's anyone that you would sell out. But that's part of the problem on the other side is I don't know how badly anybody really wants that first overall pick. It
Yeah,
goes both ways. So
it's people are very excited to get it, and then in like a draft like this, you go, oh, okay, well, there's a lot of good players, but no one who I would really take at 1. If the Titans were at 3 and they could take 3 or 4 or 5, and they could take a guy like Ramsey, that'd be perfect. They can't take a guy like that number 1 overall, or so some of those other guys. So yeah, I mean, number 1, it's I guess it's nice to have, but then again, it's in a bad draft like this, it's kind of it doesn't really work out. But yeah, I guess we'll see what they do. I think that they go Tunsil and try and shore up that offensive line, take a page out of the successful teams' books, and you got to build that offensive line first, because they have some young offensive guys. They obviously have Mariota, DeMarco Murray now, Justin Hunter, wide receiver, Kendall Wright, Dorial Green Beckham, Delaney Walker. So they got some weapons. It's just time to see if they can finally put it together. They're a young team. They lose a lot of games that they should win, or that they're in position to win, and they don't, just because, like I said, they're that young team. And I don't know if Mike Mularkey is the coach that's going to, he doesn't move the needle for anyone.
right.
So it'll be interesting to see kind of how he goes in year 1.5, because I think he was here for like half the year last year. So
Now there's a trend that I've kind of noticed, and some research has been done into it. When you're building a football team, especially in more modern years, you don't really want to have a balanced football team, or you don't want to build for balance. You want to build to have a really great offense or really great defense, and then shore up the other with free agents and just try to get by, and then eventually you end up with a dominant defense like Seattle did. But to be honest, I think a team like the St. Louis Rams were poised 3 or 4 years ago to kind of go toe to toe with the Seahawks a little bit, but they just could never get that final piece to accompany that good defense that they had. And now a bunch of those free agents are walking away. So that's just a little something about the Rams. But I think the Titans, we're talking about the Titans for way more than we should be talking about. But, the Titans are doing a good job, I think, of, especially if they go through with this pick correctly and probably take a tackle, building a really, really strong offense. And I think the Jaguars in that division are doing it too.
Yeah, they're going to be
that
scary.
That offense is very scary. So, and they're signing more guys too, which is a little bit questionable, I think. But they've been signing guys on the defensive side of the ball mostly, but still, going on tangents here. You want more picks. I'm very excited about the fact that, once again, I feel like all the best teams that are perennial contenders, are just sitting on their hands right now. A bunch of other teams are being their usual selves and just going out and throwing cash, and they're just going to be the ones that go 6-10 or whatever.
Like Miami and Miami and Philly.
Yes, Phillies. I tweeted. I had a tweet yesterday, and what exactly was the wording on it? It was top 5 teams that never learn. And I said the Eagles are a top 5 team that never learns. So I think maybe I should come up with this top 5 list here on the run, and I think the Dolphins would probably fall in that category.
They've done it the last few years, where they just go out and spend big money for these guys: Greg Jennings, Mike Wallace, people like that, Donnell Ellerbe, and it's
Sue.
It's Sue.
It's a huge one.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Free agency is supposed to supplement your team. It is not supposed to build your team.
Yep.
So the Dolphins are definitely in there. The Eagles are in there.
Gotta go Redskins.
The Redskins have moved out now that McLuhan is really doing a good job over there. And I think I meant to tweet or something, but I was going to say the Redskins are having their best offseason in a decade right now, because they're not doing shit right now. And then they're letting the Eagles do what the Eagles do, and the Giants are kind of doing a lot of it too. Now, to be fair, I think the Giants are a team that their window is closing a little bit, so you can kind of get where they're coming from. But those 2 teams are definitely in there. The Lions, I would put in there. That trade for Nada last year was a gift from the gods, by the way. They took on so much cap space there, and of course, I think they either cut him or the deal was over. But he ate up like $16 million in their cap. It was ridiculous that they gave us a pick for that. It was an absolute gift. We would have cut him, we couldn't cut him because the cap hit or something was too big. But to give us a pick was crazy. Anyways, the Lions are on that list. Who else?
Trying to think of some other teams.
Recently, the Jaguars are also on that list, even though I just said that they, they're building something good there. But I think that the real basis they build is with their 2 wide receivers and Bortles. But anyway, signing guys like Toby Gerhart and who is the cat from Denver, the tight end, Julius Thomas.
Julius Thomas.
Yeah, I mean he wasn't terrible, but he's like, come on, man, they threw huge cash at him last year.
Well, teams like that have to overspend, or they're not going to get anyone. It's just like, look what the Browns did with Paul Kruger a few years ago. You got to overspend to at least make it look like you're putting in an effort to win, or that you're trying to gain these players. Because let's be honest, if you're getting the same contract, would you rather go to, I don't know, a place like Seattle, or are you going to want to go to a place like Jacksonville or Cleveland? Those teams have to overpay to get guys to say, what?
Okay, I get what you're saying now. At first, I didn't really get what you're going for there, but you're saying that in order to, I kind of think the Orioles had that thing going on for a while, they've had that going on where
you look at the Miguel Tejada contract and stuff like that.
There's intrinsic value in addition to what the contract is to going to a given team. you have to overpay in order to. I get exactly what you're saying,
Yeah.
but for those teams, the best thing for them to do is to just bottom out and draft from the beginning, and it's so much easier for some teams than others. Ravens being one of the easier teams when they can evaluate talent as well as they can, but I think you just need to continuously try to build through the draft. You have to try to build depth, and like I love to talk about, you got to get this young talent to grow, and you got to be comfortable letting them walk and get those comp picks too. So
Yep.
it's a continual process. A lot of
And
teams like to have their windows. They like to think about like their 5-year plan, and what's going on after that is up in the air. It's whatever. But it's not. They don't think perpetually. They think about, okay, we're gonna build this into a team, and then we're gonna go for it. That's what people like to say that when they talk about their teams, especially in baseball. They like to talk about windows and
the window's closing,
go
or
get that player, and oh, they're really going for it this year. You can't stray too far into that mentality, because I mean, I don't know if it's because the Ravens do the things that they do so well that they're able to, or if it's the mentality itself where everything has to be perpetual. You got to think about not just this year but beyond. I don't know. I just think that Ozzie Newsome and the rest of the front office thinks so big picture, and that's why they've had a great 15 years.
Yeah, teams like the Ravens, the Packers, the Patriots, their front offices have really they've really got that down. Projecting for the building off of the draft and not just free agency, things like that. So that's how you stay consistent. That's how you win. 10, 11, 12 games a year, like those three teams have been doing for the last 10 years.
Yeah, I think I was thinking about putting that list in that free agency preview blog that I had, but like the teams that have it figured out, you don't never ever see them just running out and signing people. It's the Patriots, the Ravens, the Packers, the Steelers. They like to just grab their couple guys to supplement their team, usually veterans that are not too costly, and they know what they're getting with them, and it's not high risk, high reward. It's very known value, and that's what Ben Watson is. It's a very sturdy, dependable signing, and I kind of think that's what the Steelers are going for with Ladarius Green too. So these are the teams that will continually contend.
Yeah, I think I heard. I'm not sure if this was correct or if my wording's right. I think I read that Watson was the 5th unrestricted free agent that the Ravens have signed in the last 6 years.
Okay,
who's not tied to a comp pick, I think is what they were saying, or who is, because they give up a pick.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, I messed that up. So he is tied to a comp pick. I think they said he was the 5th one of those in the last 6 years. So
I'm curious if we could find a list for that.
I'm trying to think of the other ones.
Steve Smith is one. I know that. I want to say Elvis Dumerville was. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I want to think that he was because of the whole fax fiasco.
How that whole thing went down.
That was a potential re-signing kind of deal with the Broncos, and that happened. So that's 2 of them. You said Watson's the 5th, so there's 3 we've got so far. Who have we signed?
Trying to think of some of the cornerbacks or safeties or anything.
Do you know the answers?
No, I don't. I have no idea. So I guess that doesn't really help us out. Because Darryl Smith, he was a cap cut, right?
He had to be a cap cut. Pretty sure he's cap cut. Monroe was a trade. Zudo was a trade.
I don't think it was any of the wide receivers or running backs.
No, I don't think so. I don't know. Well, I mean,
yeah, I don't know. Maybe I can try and look it up. Yeah.
But yeah, like Ravens are doing their thing. They kind of they let Osemele walk, which was disappointing. More disappointing was tonight. He kind of tweeted some salty shit about. I don't know if you saw that, but he signed a massive contract with the Raiders that the Ravens were never going to match. Like Osemele's a guard, could play tackle, could play either very well, but they're already paying Yonda a good amount of money to play guard. If the guys behind Osemele were complete garbage, at least at left guard, maybe they would think about throwing some money his way. But I think John Urschel and Ryan Jensen were both, pretty sufficient, at least at guard. Urschel had his troubles snapping shotgun at center, but and I think they've got room for growth, especially Urschel, in my opinion. I really like. Well, obviously everybody likes his brain. He's about to become the second NFL player to ever have a PhD. Anyway, they're making like $700K this year, and Osemele's about to make $12 million this year.
What was his deal? He got
it was $60 million for 5 years.
Add the Raiders to that list, by the way.
Did I said them in my brain, but I don't know if because they were in consideration. The Raiders and the Browns fill out that list. That might be 6, but make it a top 6 because they both deserve it. Osemele, and I think it's a front-loaded contract too. It's like 12.7 in the first year, and it's just not going to happen, especially when you get a draft pick out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be their third-round pick, compensation pick. He's probably, and he is one of the most highly paid free agents out there this year. So, that's fine. Like, if we don't have the guard now to fill that gap, we might find one down the road. And I noticed that Ben Grubbs was cut today, which is interesting because he was a first round pick by the Ravens about a decade ago. And
he failed a physical, right?
We'll whip his ass into shape, and we could sign him and put him out there. And I think there was another guard that visited today. I forget who it was. Grubbs is not tied to a comp pick, so he knows the town, he knows the organization. Like, he would be a good fit. But even if he doesn't come aboard, then it would have to be one of these young guys, and I think the young guys would do just fine. Now, that doesn't solve the left tackle situation, and that's a huge, huge issue. So,
because now, the left tackle obviously right now is going to be Eugene Monroe, correct?
Eugene Monroe is penciled into that spot
because he just wants to smoke weed all the time now.
Potentially, he would like to have the right to. Like I said in my blog today, I'm not a weed guy, but like I get it. Some people are into that shit, and I can't relate to an NFL player that takes a beating all the time, and he's a pretty beat up guy.
Not the guy that I thought would come out about.
No, that was what was so shocking. But he was so articulate about it, and that's what made me write the blog. Like, I feel like a lot of players have had their takes about the whole weed thing, and they're not the guys that platform want talking about it. This is a guy who went to UVA, is clearly very read up on issues and knows his shit.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah. So
it's not like Vontez Burfict or Pac-Man Jones is sitting here talking about how they want to smoke.
Right. I like how you're digging on the Bengals there.
It's natural.
Natural. He made some great points, and back to the original issue. If he can be out there and be healthy, I think that he can. There's no reason why he can't be a competent left tackle. So it's not all doom and gloom if we go into the season with him as a left tackle, but we have to get somebody better than James Hurst to play when he goes out, because
it's gonna happen.
It'd be so stupid not to supplement him with somebody who can play that position better than James Hurst, and to obviously rolled up into Joe Flacco's knee. And so that's something that I would like to see targeted, maybe early second round. If they were to go Ronnie Stanley with that 6th overall pick, I wouldn't hate the pick. It's hard to honestly for me to hate picking offensive linemen with high picks, because I feel like those are the most surefire picks.
Yeah, there's a good chance that
bust hard on my favorite bust of all time. I don't know why he's my favorite bust, but Charles Rogers, the one that the Lions took, because they took so many bust wide receivers. But I thought he was phenomenal at Michigan State.
He was a freak.
He was an absolute freak. and he busted as hard as any wide receiver in the top 5 that I've ever seen. But
Yeah, his collarbone was made out of like paper mache. I think he broke it like 4 times.
I remember he caught the most ridiculous leaping touchdown grab in the back of the end zone against Notre Dame that just blew my mind, and it stuck with me. Um, but yeah, those guys have a lot of risk to them, and if we were to pick somebody who's just, this guy's going to be a solid, stalwart, offensive lineman for the next 10 years, I'm all for it. But yeah, it could be a position that they look at free agency for, and I think it'd be worth spending you know, a moderate amount of money on. And I don't think there's really a left tackle out there to really throw a ton of cash at. Kelvin Beachum from the Steelers is a name that's out there, and it's really interesting. He's 6'2". That's like unheard of for a tackle, but
it's not very big.
Um,
but now the Ravens don't have that much cap space to start out with, correct? I know
they did not at
tell
first.
Tell us about the restructure.
Well, the restructures, they might be sacrificing a little bit of like 2017, 2018 a little bit, but Marshall Yanda took not a pay cut, but he converted a big chunk of his base salary into a signing bonus, which I'm not really a capologist or whatever you want to call it, but to my understanding, that means the damage of cutting him is bigger, and some of those cap hits get pushed to later years. And today, Jimmy Smith actually followed suit and did some of the same. So with the Flacco restructuring or extension or whatever you want to call it, some people are arguing over that, if it's one or the other. It's both. It's both. Like, shut up, people. They've got a good $15 million in cap space now. So
I think I read or I had heard that going into free agency they only had like $3 million, which
they were really thin.
I think they were second to last in the how much they had.
So they've got some ability to maneuver. I would really like Courtney Upshaw to get signed already, if that hasn't been done. If it's happened, I missed it, because
I haven't heard anything. I think I thought I read that you had blogged somewhere that he was going to sign with Indianapolis. I don't know. Was that you just saying that he was going to sign there because of the that connection?
No. It was really, it had been kind of reported. It was one of those pre-4 o'clock free agency reportings, like, this is going to happen. And I mean, I wrote that blog at noon, and the free agency was coming out at 4. So I just like wrote it in there, and I was pretty much assuming that, like Osemele, was going to happen. But it hasn't happened yet. So as of right now, signing Ben Watson cancels out the Osemele pick. But if it's Upshaw is probably only worth a 4th or 5th in the whole draft pick formula, and that's who would be swapped out. So, I mean, that's...
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on him being signed, so...
Yeah, that's concerning. But Matt Schaub did move. It's not... I don't think that's going to help us too much, but it's still something. He's obviously not coming back, but he's also... Wait, or did we actually cut him? I actually don't know.
No, I think because he finished the year.
He finished the year, but I feel like it might have been a 2-year deal.
I thought Mallet got the 2-year deal.
Mallet did get the 2-year deal. Maybe Schaub was always on a 1-year deal. I don't remember. But yeah, they've got the cap room now to go out and maneuver a little bit. There are a couple of guys that I'm kind of intrigued by. Like I said, Ben Grubbs would be one. Beachum would be another. I'd be in support of that. It's not like a home run picker, or not pick a signing or anything, but it would be a good solid addition. I've kind of tried to temper my hopefulness that maybe Mike Wallace could come in the mix. Anquan Bolden is also out there. That's terrifying a little bit because he's been tied to the Patriots. But
he would be a perfect. I think he would do pretty well there.
I think he would do pretty well anywhere, just because he's a dog. He's a dog fighter. He's the man.
Yeah.
He's bulldog. He's everything that I want to couple with Steve Smith. Like, those two in a wide receiving core would be so ridiculous, and they whip Perriman's ass into shape.
They would fight everyone.
you could put Ben Grubbs on the team and they would whip his ass into shape.
Yeah.
So Mike Wallace would be really great. It's for obvious reasons. He would be a vertical threat with hopefully Perriman can get on the field, and if those two are they could just run verticals, and then little
Clear out the
Campanaro cutting in
safeties.
front. The safeties would have a lot of room to maneuver. It could be that would really complement Joe Flacco's skills well. But Bolden, I think, would again, for not the same reasons that Wallace. He is starkly different. Like, could not be the more different wide receiver.
Complete opposite.
But Bolden just knows how to go out and make plays and go up and get balls. That's what I think. Like, Flacco missed most last year, and he definitely missed it a couple years ago.
Not having Torrey and Bolden.
Guy that he can just lean on, you know? Like,
well, Dennis Pitta was supposed to be that guy.
He was absolutely supposed to be that guy. I think I'm really hoping that Max Williams takes a big jump. That's a whole other story. But he just doesn't have the guy. Like, every quarterback needs a guy when the defense blitzes 6 or 7. He knows what route this receiver is going on. He knows a spot where he can put it and put it in a place where that guy is going to go up and make a play. And Bolden is as good as I've seen at going up strong and going to grab a football. And Steve Smith does that pretty well. He's he's 5'10", if that. Mm-hmm. So,
and plus, I mean, they're both those guys are also getting up there in age too.
Obviously,
so I don't know. You know, their bodies obviously can't handle much more. I mean, you saw Smith with his injury last year.
Right, and this is kind of couples with the whole offense. I mean, we're pretty much touching on the whole offense at this point. The tight end situation has been very bizarre. The Ben Watson signing, like, it came out of left field to me because going into the offseason, the thought was that Gilmore, I mean, he really came on strong last season. Nick Boyle got suspended. He actually had a very good rookie year, but he's pretty much useless to us for 2016. And I thought Max Williams had a good second half playing with shit quarterbacks. And I feel like I've said it a million times, whatever, in any blog that I've said, that all the best tight ends, any tight end that is a big name, always had a quiet rookie year where they just learn the ropes, and then that second year is where they just bust out and wreak havoc. And I really, really, really think that is on deck for Max Williams. So I don't know if the organization didn't see it that way, or they still they needed another tight end. I just didn't think they needed one that at that price, not that 2 years, $8 million or $7 million. I've seen it reported either way.
It's not breaking the bank.
It's not breaking the bank, but it's still, eats up a little bit of cash. And really, what the worry is now, and it's kind of been discussed by Ozzie at the Watson press conference today, is that Crockett Gilmore is not exactly dead set on being ready for week 1 because he had surgery on both of his shoulders. Now, we knew he was banged up. He had even, hit his head on the M&T turf that won't be coming back. Got concussed during the year. But he's banged up, and I guess they don't feel comfortable enough with his health to really go into the year with just Gilmore, Williams, and a cheap veteran, cheaper than Ben Watson. So
yeah. And I was gonna say maybe was this Gilmore injury? Was it a lot? Maybe was it worse than what they had anticipated at first? And they said, "Oh shit, maybe this does. This is worse. We got to go out and get someone else who can." Who can kind of patch this hole until Gilmore comes back.
That's what the whole concern is. That's what, as soon as the Watson thing came out, everyone was like, this is weird. Something's up with probably Crockett, because, we knew he had surgery and all that stuff. So, it's not a bad thing to have Ben Watson on your team. He's a good veteran. He's a very smart guy too. He had a very articulate, kind of a rant that went viral on Facebook last year when the whole Baltimore riots thing was going on. I don't know if a couple people recirculated it when they signed him, but I don't know. I just like having guys that uh, intelligent guys that obviously he knows his way around a playbook. And he's produced, and he had a big year with once Jimmy Graham left New Orleans last year. He really was the tight end number one, catching a lot of balls. So, um,
Yeah, Ozzy. I
had a
don't know
good
if you
year.
heard him. Ozzy had some good quotes about him. I heard them today, and he said, when we saw them work out, he said, I saw Watson, and I knew that was the guy I wanted, and talked
That's
about
right.
how he said something how he's playing better in his 12th year than I played in my 12th, 13th, 14th year. Because he was, yeah. I mean, if you look at his numbers, what he had 6 touchdowns, I think right around 18 or 800 yards.
Yeah,
So he had good numbers.
he certainly had good numbers. And oh man, where was it going? Yeah, I read that quote. I didn't get a chance to watch a press conference or anything, but I saw the quote about they evaluated like 8 tight ends that they might go after in free agency, and they saw like 5 plays by Watson on the tape, and he said, "That's our guy. Like this
That's
guy is
him.
gonna fit the offense. He knows what he's doing out there." So, if he's that adamant about signing a guy, then I'm fully behind it.
Yeah.
It's just my not hesitance, but like my curiosity is just behind why this was such a priority. So,
Yeah, I mean, if Ozzy, like we were saying, if Ozzy liked him, then he knows something or he sees something that you got to get behind it.
hmm
So yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good signing. I think Flacco will, like you were mentioning, he wants that tight end, he wants that Tony Romo, Jason Witten relationship, and I mean, a guy like Ben Watson who's been around the block a few times, he knows the right place to be. He'll know when he needs to break out or break the route off and help Flacco out when he's scrambling. So.
sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You got anything else on the Ravens? I know. I'm trying to think that any other free agents they've been connected to. I haven't really heard anyone.
No, it's been pretty quiet. I can't really say that I have a whole bunch more. I think, you know, as free agency kind of doesn't wind down, but we'll see. We'll start to get in some draft talk. I haven't been able to throw myself completely into the draft coverage, but um, it's pretty different than it was before the combine. Just I feel like Ramsey is for sure not making it to 6. With like,
Yeah,
there's no chance. Whereas I thought like there was an outside chance before, but now there's
then
just
he
no
could.
chance. And
Yeah, because
now it
now.
looks like Bosa is a very legitimate chance of falling, which I'm excited by. Like I think I said it a few times before last season that I think and I think it was mostly because Pernell McPhee left, and I was like, I'm fine with him walking, but I think we need to be very careful about going and getting a guy to be the pass rusher of the future because Doomerville and Suggs
Both
could
getting up there.
simultaneously have just a sharp decline and it could be over for them, and we could be
Hmm.
just shit out of luck. And we didn't get to the quarterback all that well when it was just Doomerville last year, so it's kind of a pressing matter. I think that it doesn't. We're not in trouble in 2016, but it would be very, very smart of us to get out ahead of this and have if a guy like
Re-
Bosa's there,
yeah, you need to
guys.
restock now because like I mean, Suggs is how old coming off an Achilles, and Doomerville's not that much younger than him. So, like you said, they're both getting up there, and I feel like pass rushers once they go downhill quick, and it's just kind of going from there.
Yeah, and I was a little disappointed. I noticed Dwight Freeney had a really good year after he got signed mid-year.
Yeah,
That was the guy I really wanted, and we ended up with
it was him and Jason
Babin.
Babin.
And Babin was cheaper because we were a little tight on the cap space too, I think. And that's how that went. It was very salvageable season at that time. And Suggs got injured in week 1. I think Babin was signed that week or maybe the week after, and then he
I,
sat a week, and then he was played a week or two, and then he was cut.
yeah, I thought Babin signed a little later. I thought that was like
It might have been. I don't
I,
remember the
I thought
exact
that was like
timeline,
6 or 7. Yeah,
you know, I think it's
I don't know, but yeah, I mean,
just an overarching note about the Ravens and what they have on a roster, and looking back at this shitty season, which calendar year turned over. That's just kind of a good feeling to turn the page on last season. But the Ravens, when they were at full force last year, took the Super Bowl champions to pretty much the last play on the road. And you could honestly make a really great case that, we're nitpicking specific plays here, but Steve Smith dropped a touchdown pretty much that was going to win the game. And Gilmore got interfered with on the jump ball that ended that game. That was, I think, a pick.
It was it was a pick. That was a very close. I remember those plays. They're both I think Smith's got tipped right in front of him and ended up hitting in the face mask.
Yeah.
And that Gilmore call could have gone either way. If he fights, just a little more, he could come down with that ball.
I remember being so angry about a few other things that were going on in that game with the way that they just. I don't think nobody really realized how great that Denver defense was. So I was very frustrated with the Ravens offense to the point where I was like, I want to complain about this call, but I'm so mad at our performance that I blame it on our guys. Like we just didn't do our job. In hindsight, now that I know just how good those guys were, on that pick by Gilmore, they brought the house and those pass rushers got to him. He threw the ball up, and we should have gotten a pass interference flag. The replay was more clearly pass interference than I remember it being when it happened. But I'm harping on old plays. I just think people need to keep it in mind that this team was built for a really good year, and it went to complete shit very quickly because Suggs is really the glue guy of that defense. When he pass rushes, Dumervil is so much more comfortable getting to the quarterback too, and the secondary is the weak link, but it's not much of a weak link when the quarterback only has less than 3 seconds to get rid of the ball. So it's a well-oiled machine that lost its most important cog, and it's going to be back next year. And and Suggs getting arrested, and Suggs never hanging out with the team, which is kind of really fucking annoying that he disappears, and people like Harbaugh will say in week 15 oh, I haven't heard from him in 2 months. That's ridiculous. Anyway,
that's very strange.
It's
I
very,
thought about
very
that too.
odd.
You'd think, I don't know, just from a personal standpoint, you think that you'd still want to be around the team and kind of just hanging out and kind of just still being one of the guys. But I remember hearing a radio interview and they were talking about that, and they said it's not like that in the NFL. They said if you're hurt, hey, we'll see you next year. If you can't help us win on the field, you really don't serve a purpose to be here. But
that's weird. It's interesting.
I want to go back and look up and see if something, was Brady when he tore his ACL. I wonder if he was with the team, or if he was rehabbing somewhere else, or Manning. I can't remember.
I think a quarterback is a little different situation though.
Yeah,
because they're basically an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, so it was. I mean, it's a totally different sport. But you go back and look at a guy like Dion Wiley, who's surrounded by the Terps at all times now.
Yeah,
coming off his knee injury,
college is a little different. And when basketball is tight knit team, it's
tight knit. Yeah,
but
he's also probably not getting paid as much as Terrell Suggs is, but so Suggs can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, but like I was saying, this was a good team that was going to have a good year. I'm not going to say that they were going to win the Super Bowl or anything too crazy, but they had the pieces in place, and it just kind of went to shit. And I'm glad that we could turn the page. It's not going to be that different of a team, and a lot of people will laugh at me for saying that. Oh, that team's exactly the same team as it went 5-11. Well, they're kind of not, because the guys coming back from injury are pretty damn important. So, and the bounces have to go our way eventually. A lot of bad bounces too, and that sounds like excuses, but is what it is.
I don't think anyone is going to be surprised if the Ravens bounce back to an 11 or 12 win season and are right back there, in a division title and making a deep run in the playoffs. Just because
division's tough, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked. I mean, Cincinnati's losing a lot of pieces. Pittsburgh, not really. I guess they're still kind of in good shape, but with the roster the Ravens have and their coaching staff and their front office, they're going to be there every year. They had a hiccup last year due to an unbelievable amount of unseen injuries that no one could predict, and that I feel like that'll kind of be the outlier, and we'll see them again in January.
Yeah, if you're a Ravens fan, keep the faith. Good things are coming, and good things are coming for a long time. Joe Flacco is going to be the quarterback for a long time. We're going to get a stud pick at who knows what position, but it's going to be a really good pick that's going to be a force for a long time. And I'm almost equally as excited about having the 36th pick instead of like the 60th pick because it's basically 2 first-round picks. So, yeah, good things are coming with the Ravens. So, with that, I invite you to discuss the Baltimore Orioles and how they're performing down in Sarasota.
Well, as many of our listeners probably know, the Orioles have not won a game yet. It's now March 10th. Pitchers and catchers reported on February 8th, I think. And so they've been in camp for the position players have probably been in camp for a little over 3 weeks, and they haven't won a game yet. They're 0-10-2. But on the bright side, Hyun-Soo Kim got his first hit today. I think you called it this morning. I don't know if that was this morning or yesterday.
I don't think I called it, but I called it in my head.
You said seeing eye single.
Oh, I
was
did.
that this morning or 2 days ago? I can't remember if that was Thursday or
no.
Wednesday.
I think that was 2 days ago.
All my days are mixed in.
Making a joke there, but I very seriously saw the lineup this morning, and I was like, "This is the day. This is the day where he gets a hit."
That's what I thought too. But okay, so they tied. Hyun-Soo Kim got a hit. So baby steps. They didn't lose, and he broke this. He broke his slump. I don't know if that's called really breaking a slump. But yeah, he's been struggling. The team's been struggling, which I'm not worried one bit. I know other people in Baltimore are. People at work are freaking out. You hear on the radio, you see it on Twitter. People are absolutely losing their minds because the Orioles haven't won yet. I want to know how the Cubs fans are reacting. They've won 1 game. Yankee fans have only won 2 games. So I'm not sure. I know why everyone's freaking out. It's the pitching that's been shit, and that's what everyone has said that we need to improve on. And it just their idea of going out and improving the rotation was getting Yovani Gallardo, and he's only pitched in 1 game. Gave up his ERA is 13.5. I gave up 3 runs, 4 hits, and 2 innings. That's, if we're being honest, that's not that bad. That's we've seen that before out of pitchers. Now he's not like Gonzalez. Gonzalez has given up 8 earned runs in 4 innings on 11 hits. Guys are batting .458 off him in a whip of 3. So it's not. I mean, we've said it for the last few months that Miguel is the weak point in this.
I'm hoping that he's pitching so poorly, and I kind of want everybody to make a really, really big deal out of it, and just make spring training be just for him specifically. I'd want people to make a big deal about spring training and say that it's really important and that matters. Tim Lincecum, maybe take a flyer on him. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it can't really hurt at this point. I mean, they're throwing out I can't even pronounce the guy that they got from the Padres. Despaigne, that guy, he's been garbage. Chris Lee, who a lot of people had their eye on, he hasn't performed that well this year. He's a lefty.
Is a carbon copy of Gonzalez. He's a soft thrower that he just throws hard enough to be able to get away with it. And now that he's off
bad.
Yeah, it's really not good.
Yeah. So, and like I said, he's been bad. Chris Lee has been pretty bad. Andrew Triggs, who they released today to get Pedro Alvarez onto the roster, he was bad. Even I guess McFarland wasn't doing that well. It seems like almost everyone's kind of getting beaten up. But
I know Tillman came out strong today, and Gausman, as far as I know, pitched well too.
Yeah, Tillman and Gonzalez, or Tillman and Gausman both pitched in that B game today, and I think Gausman threw 3 scoreless innings. For everything I heard, he looked really good. Tillman looked good because he was coming off.
Those are the 2 key guys that I think are really going to carry the rotation this year, and that's good. We just need to get the back end fixed.
Yeah. Even Vance Worley was having a good outing until his last, I think, against the Phillies. He kind of shit the bed a little bit. But the bullpen guys look fine. Britton, O'Day, Brock, all those guys. Even Parker Bridwell. I don't know. He's been he's been all right. He's shown some potential. The guy that I'm really looking at is who's going to be money, I think, in a few years. Tanner Scott. Rumor has it he's been hitting triple digits on the radar gun. He's a lefty, and is he starting material though? He's been starting down at Bowie. I think right now they had him working out of the pen. But I mean, a lefty throwing 100, they said, and they're working on a slider with him.
Hmm.
So that anytime you hear the words, 100 miles an hour, lefty, and working on a slider, I mean that.
Bare
I feel like
minimum,
that's
he could be like a Jake McGee.
I'll take that.
Yeah,
McGee's
absolutely.
been pretty solid. So yeah, I mean, the pitching hasn't really impressed anyone, and that's kind of what everyone was worried about because I guess we're just waiting to see if these guys can flip a switch and turn it on. But like you said, Gossman and Tillman today looking pretty good in the B game. That's got to be encouraging. And then you just kind of have to see what Ubaldo gives you. Bundy was throwing the ball well until yesterday. He kind of got touched up a little bit, but Buck has said that it's the fastest he's thrown the fastest that they've seen since his surgery. His arm's still attached, and he's not complaining. He said he's not in any pain right now. So they were saying that Bundy needs to get to that point where we're not worrying about his elbow or his shoulder every day like we were with Machado. Remember after Machado's first few games, it was how's his knee feeling?
So Bundy going to pitch 162 games this year is a question?
Absolutely not. No.
No, I haven't heard about Hunter Harvey in a while. I might have just forgotten what his status is, but obviously he's not going to be at the majors if he was healthy. But is he healthy?
Everything I've heard, he's healthy, and like I said, I'm not expecting to see him this year. Maybe a September call-up. I'm not sure. I would rather have him stay in the minors the entire year, unless he's blowing everyone away and can help the team. Let him get as many innings down there as he can. Let him recover from this injury, because he was the forearm tightness, and he went to get that PRP injection and all. The same runaround that we had with Bundy. But I think he pitched, I want to say it was last week, and Buck said that he was up around 96 on the gun. So that if he's chucking 96, I think he's feeling all right.
Now, can I beat a dead horse for a little bit, for a sec?
Yep.
Where the hell is Terry Doyle?
You know what? I don't know. I was chatting with him on Twitter the other night. He was at the Lightning game, I think.
See, I don't think that he needs, I'm not saying put him in the rotation. I'm not saying, give him a major league roster spot. But what time better than now to just throw him in the mix and see what he's got? And, you've got these other guys struggling. What does it hurt to give him a few innings at the big league level and see if he can win a job? I don't see on what planet with the year that he put up in AA and AAA last year that he didn't earn himself at least a tryout or a chance. What more does he have to do? I get that he doesn't have the measurables and the flashy fastball and all that stuff, but if a guy can pitch, he can pitch, and he's shown that he can get hitters out. Why doesn't he get some sort of real shot?
Yeah, he was 12-1 at Bowie last year, 4-1 in Norfolk. He pitched to a combined ERA of 2.16. I don't get it either. I mean, and like you said, this is a perfect opportunity to, let's trot him out there against, the Phillies the other day or the Yankees today and see what he has. I really don't understand it either. I would love to see them give him a shot.
I fully understand that they're baseball scouts and things that see things that know better than me, and they've got so much experience and all that stuff, and that can guys can have really great stats and really poor stats, and those measurables can outweigh it, but those stats are so phenomenal that I don't see how there's not a little bit of leeway there where you can say, hey, why let's throw him out there, let's give him a shot.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and like I said, if you're going to do it, I think now's the time to do it. Because I think they said cuts are coming tomorrow, so why not have him come in and see what he can do against some of these guys before camps really get down to their final rosters. And yeah, I mean, just let him go. I don't know.
It's not even that they're not committing to giving him a spot or anything. It's they're not even giving him a shot.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part was just baffling to me.
Yeah, I thought maybe he could be a September call-up last year because after the year he had, and that was at that point where the Orioles were kind of out of it. So at that same time, why not give him that shot and see what he can do? I don't know. Maybe he may not be one of these Buck guys. I got nothing really.
That
I don't
seems like
know.
a Buckeye through and through.
We can start a hashtag Terry Doyle for starter.
I
See
think
where that
I
gets.
started it sarcastically-ish, not sarcastic, in last July, and it's starting to become a very serious thing.
110 strikeouts, 22 walks last year. Only gave up 10 home runs, a 1.00 WHIP, and he had a save, and he had 2 shutouts. So I don't know. I don't see what what he's missing. I know there's a reason that we're not scouts, but I say we let him rip it. So
Yes, sir.
that would be nice to see. Some of the other guys, you know who's absolutely killing it, hitting wise, is our boy Ryan Flaherty.
Yeah, your boy,
He's been
maybe.
he's,
I don't know.
he's been murdering the ball. He's batting 467. He has an on base percentage of 600. So I think he's going to be a big guy this year.
Sample
Yeah, I mean,
size, yeah.
yeah, but hey, yeah, he can play. He's going to get playing time this year, regardless of wherever it is. I've even seen people float out that maybe he should start in right field if Kim is not ready because of his struggles. You put Trumbo in left, or maybe you put
Right.
Flaherty in left and Trumbo in right. I
I,
don't know. I mean,
I,
he's,
I
he's
still don't want to give up on Reimold, and he should be given up on, but like he gets on base, and they need a guy
yeah,
that gets on base.
yeah. That
So
Reimold's. I've slowly come around to the idea that I wouldn't mind seeing Reimold bat lead off and play one of the corner outfield spots because, like you
if
said,
you
he gets on base. He's a stolen base
if you just
threat.
stare at his numbers long enough, you'll slowly
You
come
can see
around to it.
something. Yeah. The guy that I think is going to be out of the job is Jimmy Paredes with his injury, plus adding Pedro Alvarez, which we haven't even talked about.
Right.
Who they now have the right-handed and left-handed Mark Trumbo because neither of them. Well, I hate to say it, but neither of them should bring their gloves. But Trumbo is not going to be in.
Somebody has to bring their glove if they want to
I
bring their
don't.
bat.
I don't know if you saw Trumbo's stumbling catch today.
Mhm.
They called it a diving catch. He was in right. It looked like he tripped over his feet and kind of just fell, and the ball landed in his glove. It was kind of a mom, look what I found catch. But it seems like that's going to be the thing that's happening because Davis is going to be at first, even though I think he's the best right field option and first base option at this time. Um, it's going to be Trumbo. Alvarez will likely be the DH most of the time, I'm guessing. Maybe
Mhm.
not against lefties because he's pretty smashed against lefties.
He's terrible.
Yeah, and it seems like he's just a left-handed Mark Trumbo. Doesn't get on base. Will hit the hell out of the ball. I wouldn't be. I mean, he can hit. I think he hit 27 home runs last year, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him 25 to 30 home runs, which the Orioles have to have one of the most potent lineups.
Oh yeah, for
With
sure.
throwing him in. I know ESPN put an article out, talking about if they can break the home run record for a team. Which at this point, I don't see why not. They're going
Their
to
little
be,
summary at the bottom, not I don't think they needed to break the home run record, but if they scored, X amount of runs, that wasn't
mhm.
like completely the, out of the realm of possibilities, they would just have to maintain last year's pitching to win 97 games. That's
Yeah,
insane. Like,
yeah. I,
but
I and I think that they can maintain last year's pitching.
I think that they should be able to easily do better than last year's pitching because it was just
Yeah.
that bad. But,
If
we'll
Gossman
see.
takes a mini step forward, and same thing with Tillman,
Yeah.
and Giovanni can kind of put up those same numbers that Chen did, there's no reason to believe that they can't. And because Gonzalez and Tillman are both the wild, they're the kind of the coin flips. You never know what you're
Right.
getting there. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, like we'll talk about Pedro real quick. That signing didn't really do anything for me. I think it adds. I mean, it's always good to add more pop to the lineup, but like I said, that means Trumbo's going to be playing in the field likely.
I
And
think
that
we can just afford somebody to get hurt and that first base catcher DH little roundabout we got going on, So
it also lets them it lets Buck play with the lineup a little bit because now he has that other left-handed power hitter. So if he wanted, like I strung together a lineup real quick. I went Manny, Scope, and then you could go righty, lefty with Jones, Davis, Trumbo, Alvarez. You could throw Wieters or Joseph in there. Wieters switch hitter. Joseph is a righty. Throw Kim at 8, and then Hardy at 9 because Buck kind of likes to alternate those righty and lefties.
Mm-hmm.
So you do that. You could throw Reimold in there somewhere. So you can kind of get you can get a little funky with this lineup.
I think a big asset for Alvarez is that he's pretty much his whole career has been trying to figure out how to field in a manner that keeps him in the lineup because he's that bad out there. If he doesn't have to bring his glove at all, then he can just focus on hitting, and that could be a huge thing for him.
Yeah, the American League's perfect for him. I think he's gonna be more comfortable here now because, like you said, he doesn't have to worry about fielding. He can just focus on hitting. He's with his good friend and a former roommate, Ryan Flaherty from Vanderbilt, which I saw some pictures that someone was tweeting out today of them at some parties, and they looked like they were enjoying it. They seem like quite the odd couple, though. I also read. Did you see the pictures from the press conference today with all the teammates there?
Maybe glanced at a couple, but
yeah, I saw Davis, Gallardo, Hardy, Flaherty, Scope, Manny, and all them were there. And I think Alvarez was asked about it, and he said he wasn't really expecting any of the teammates to show up, and he thought it was a joke when Flaherty walked in, just because he was his old roommate and their friend. So he said he kind of thought he was there, but then he thought it was a joke when the rest of the team came filing in. So he said it was great to see that they were, all behind him. So I think that's. They obviously wanted him here. I know Manny had some good quotes about how many balls are going to be hit on a Utah street this year. So
I'm sure it'll be a show.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that. I already went on the record saying I think he hits the warehouse this year. He hits those high looping home runs. He hit a few into the river in Pittsburgh. So
I just don't know if it's ever going to happen. Like if Davis hasn't done it by now, I just don't know if it's ever going to happen.
It's got to be a perfect, summer night where it's hot, the ball's flying out of there.
You really got to yank it.
Yeah. I was looking at his home run track from last year, and he had a few, because I think they said the warehouse is closest right down the line, and he had a few that I put PNC next to, or hit the home runs he hit next to on like an over loop of Camden Yards, and a few of them were hugging that right field line that went out deep. So if he can stick on that, we may be able to see that. So yeah, hopefully by this time next week we'll be able to talk to you about some wins. Maybe we'll see how Alvarez does. Real quick, I know we're running short on time. We can talk about the Terps heading into the Big Ten tournament. They play the winner of Wisconsin and Nebraska. That game's going on right now. They play tomorrow night, Friday night.
I'm watching it here, and Nebraska's actually taking it to them a little bit. They're up by 7, close to halftime.
Okay, that's exactly what we need. Lost to Indiana on Sunday was a rough one to watch.
Yeah,
I think they've now lost 4 of 6. I think they've lost
4 of 6. It's been the Wisconsin loss that really sent them in a tailspin. I think I was saying before the podcast that I was, kind of intrigued by the possibility of playing Wisconsin again. Might be a way to exercise some demons and kind of get back on the right track. But who knows? It's time for them to show up. It's time to, put up or shut up. We know they've got the talent. I hate to, doubt their work ethic, but it's just not necessarily the work ethic, but the tenacity. They just every team they play seems to want it more than they do. Mm-hmm. So it's frustrating.
It seems like they get punched in the mouth by the other team, giving them their best shot, and they got nothing to come back with.
Yeah. Now that Iowa is trash again, they didn't beat any good teams this year.
Yeah. I think their best win is what, maybe at Wisconsin?
Probably that one. Maybe UConn.
Yeah, I was gonna say the UConn on a neutral court, but I mean, their road wins. That's their best road win was Wisconsin on the road.
Yeah.
And the Iowa win is kind of a wash now, just because they've lost I think 5 of 6, and they lost today to Illinois, who Maryland thrashed 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's I did notice that that's not the best for Maryland. It also seems like Turgeon's kind of getting not fed up, but he's starting to not toss them under the bus, but he has some comments that have come out lately, which shows that he's frustrated now too. Where I think it was after that Purdue loss where he said now it's on them. I can only do so much after that weak
Mhm.
rebounding effort.
He
So
said a few things that have really ticked me off, actually. He said, I'm not disappointed with the way we've been playing, which is just so infuriating to me. How can
mhm.
you not be disappointed? You know how talented this team is, and you've taken it nowhere since the beginning of the year. This team is like Diamond Stone has progressed, and everyone else is just kind of, I guess Jake Layman's been playing better, but as a team, as a cohesive unit, they're nowhere. They're not really any better than they were at the beginning of the year, and everybody else has passed them. It seems
Did you
like.
did you see that terribly timed
Yes, I know
tweet from
exactly
Under
what you're
Armour?
going for here.
The,
Yeah,
I don't know
it
if you
could
read
not
the
be like it shows that they hear us, and that's what like pisses me off. It's like for people who don't know what we're talking about, there's a tweet that said, "We won't be outworked." Well, that's literally the word that everybody's been saying. You've been getting outworked every fucking game.
yeah, every game since like that Purdue win on I think it was like February 6th, they've been getting outworked. But you
You
know what? It was like a marketing ploy by Under Armour because all the Under Armour schools put out something with that and like outworked and we
I
won't
didn't
be
know
out
that.
hustled. Yeah, yeah. Because I think Steph Curry had something like that yesterday. So Under Armour, and there was some Snapchat filter that talked about that. So that made me feel a little bit better, but that could not come at a worse time. Them saying that they will not be outworked when a week and a half ago they had their worst rebounding game in the last 15 years,
They've been
according to Ken Palm.
literally outworked by every team in the Big Ten probably this year.
Yeah, that not ideal marketing from Under Armour and Kevin Plank. You would have thought that
Jesus Christ.
they may have had everyone else tweet that and maybe had Maryland tweet something else, but yeah, not a good look on that
We
part.
won't be out talented.
Yeah, that
Jesus
was rough.
Christ.
That was rough. I'm glad you saw that. Yeah, so we got to hope that they can string some together, or what are they looking at? A 5 seed, maybe a 6 seed?
Maybe a little better than that. It fringes on what this game coming up here. I know the most recent Lunardi bracketology had them as a 5 seed playing Yale, and Kentucky was the 4 seed they'd be matched up with. So
Don't like
I don't know.
that.
They need to help themselves because they certainly haven't been doing that. I don't know. Nebraska's going in the half with like a 5-point lead here, so who knows? Maybe they'll play Nebraska tomorrow and they'll, I don't know, be able to take care of business early and stay fresh and take a run at Michigan State because Michigan State's going to demolish Ohio State tomorrow. That's the surest thing that I've ever that's happened in college basketball this year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean tonight we're all Cornhuskers. I think we can all say that. So yeah, we'll hope they get a win. And then I guess we can wrap this up just real quick. Caps pretty much have the President's Trophy wrapped up, but
It's
really
over.
means
That's a
nothing.
done race. We're just waiting for our dinner, I guess you could call it.
Yeah,
I
49,
love
13,
I
and
love like
5.
the Bruins like getting in a tie for first place and like, oh, we're getting the cup. Yeah, it's like look at the standings. They're fucking 20, 25 points behind us. It's a show. Like
It's
I think
like
our magic number is to clinch a playoff spot in general is in the low single digits at this point.
I saw you said 6 the other day, but that was
Yeah.
before they had that overtime loss last night.
Yeah. So it's at least 5.
Yeah, well, they'll have that wrapped up by early next week, likely. So yeah, we'll see next week. I guess we're going to be recording on Wednesday, Thursday, St. Patrick's Day,
Yeah, let's do that.
and
That's a good deal.
the first night of the tournament. So
Yeah, definitely.
I'm arguably not gonna be in the mindset to speak or
Oh, you drink?
podcast.
Is that what you're saying?
I've dabbled in some alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
so
doing alcohol is cool.
I watched that episode last night.
All timer.
It's a goodie episode. It's a pretty good one.
They're all good ones, except
That's
for the last 4 seasons or whatever. Anyway.
And Dwally's not a good episode.
Yeah, that one kind of stinks.
I skip it every time.
Bring it home.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's why we just got to hope for it. Terps wrapping it up. And hey, maybe the O's will get a win, and we can talk about that next week.
I don't really want to talk about a spring training win, to be honest.
You know what? All right, I want them to go 0 for then.
Fair enough.
That'll at least get people excited, and then maybe they won't buy their tickets, and I can go to opening day.
That's preposterous, but yeah.
It's the Baltimore fan mindset. Yeah. Oh, well. All right. But yeah, like I said, Caps snag a few more wins. Terps will win, hopefully go on a run, and we'll see what the O's do. And then we will see you guys next week.
Have a good one.
Adios.